This is Jessie Carty with Shape of a Box, and this afternoon we're interviewing Lisa Williams Kline, a young adult author. She has 3 books out, and the most recent is Right Before Your Eyes.
I started when I was really young. I was in about 2nd grade, and I would write these stories and draw the pictures to go with them myself. And I tried very hard to tell stories, and there were usually stories about animals and that walked around like people. Well, I started out writing for adults, and I had several short stories published for adults. And then I got an idea to write about my grandmother's childhood. She grew up on the Outer Banks of North Carolina, actually in a place called Atlantic, North Carolina, and her father was a fisherman. And I got the idea to write this book because when she died, she left all her photographs and all her letters. And there was a collection that went back to 1909. And I guess I had records. I had this one letter from a guy asking to escort her to church in 1909 when she was, about 14 years old. So I don't know, my imagination started working, and I guess her age was about 14. And so when I wrote the book, it ended up selling as a novel for young people because of the age of my main character when the book started, although she was she was 17 by the time the book was over. But so that was, it sold as a novel for young people. And so I started thinking about that as a possible way for me to go. Started voraciously reading them, and I went back and looked at a lot of the things that I loved as a child too. And when I went to get my MFA, I started out getting it in writing for children and young adults at Vermont. So, and I read a lot there. I guess one of the things that I've always loved about writing for children is that you can use magic. And I really wanted to believe in magic when I was a little kid. And I was just really sad when I got to be an adult and I found out that magic wasn't real. So I like to write about that time when you still believe there is magic. And the main character in my new book feels that way. She just wishes that magic was real. And so when she gets this journal and she finds out that what she writes in it comes true, then it is a way of magic being real for her. It's about a girl named Gracie who really, the realities of her life, it's a contemporary life with some typical problems that kind of a middle child might have, where she's kind of lost in the shuffle in her family. And she's in a position where she wants more power in life. She wants more power of her own life. I think a lot of kids feel powerless and they want more power. And so one of the reasons I wrote this book is because I think writing can give a person more power. You can express yourself, and you can get your feelings out on the paper, and you can learn to understand yourself so much better. And I just think that writing really does give us more control and power, and it helps us figure out the paths to take in our life. And I think it's a wonderful tool for a kid to have. And so that's why I wrote about Gracie finds this magic journal. Everything she writes in it comes true. And she begins to think that she can, change the world, and she can fix everyone's problems if she has this journal. And of course everything goes wrong, and then she's trying to fix all the things that she's messed up. And so it's kind of comic, but there's magic in it too. It was a character who had a longing. She had a longing for magic and some way for the magic to work in her life. And so what they teach you in school about your character needs to have a longing and it needs to be character based, I think that happened with this. Not that I did it on purpose. It was maybe accidental. Maybe I was just lucky. But she has a great longing to have more power in her life, and she also has a longing for magic, and that came together with the journal. And then I did read a lot of books. When I was trying to write the end, I read a lot of classic books because I had brought magic into a real world. I read a lot of books, like I read Edward Eger's Half Magic, and a number of other classics to figure out what the authors decided to do with the magic, because I had magic out there and I didn't really know where to go with it, and so it was very instructional for me to read some of these other books and find out, you know, how the authors handled. One of the reasons, my editor said that one of the reasons why she bought my book was because she fell in love with the characters, and that made me feel good, because I was in love with these characters while I was writing about them. They really are very dear to me, and that was one of the ways that I knew that I was on the right track with this book, was because I began to love the characters, and they were like real people. Well, I really wanted to improve the level of my writing. I wanted to learn really more about my craft, and I wanted to learn more about just the literature that I was trying to work with. And I also have a desire to teach, and getting the MFA is a way to be able to teach, and so those are the main two reasons that I did it, and it really I learned just an amazing amount. Read, and practice. I think that so many people say, "Oh, I want to write," and they don't realize that it's like practicing. You practice your scales when you want to be a musician, or you go out and you practice shooting baskets when you want to become a basketball player. I mean, you wouldn't imagine that you would go give a concert without practicing music. So why would you think that you could, you know, write without practicing writing? It's just, it's you know, it's like that. It's like other things, and once you accept that, the slow progress of getting a little bit better is, you can live with that.
And we want to thank Lisa so much for having the time to give us this interview. We're going to put some links over in the sidebar that will include where you can get her book as well as her website. Thank you.